everyone, to another edition of Business Transformations. My guest today is Asa Grund of TelcoDataCloud down in Adelaide, Australia. This is the first international guest we've had on the show. Thrilled to have you with us, Asa. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks.
So it's exciting to talk about you because you're doing something that is so rare in Australia. The model is new. People are just starting to figure it out, don't understand, is it legal? Is it a multi-level marketing scheme? What's really going on here? But you got out of the gates quickly. And I want to go all the way back because I think most partners resonate with how did it start, because so many of them have these startup stories where they got the idea and ran. Yours was just recent. Walk us through what you were doing and then how you came into being, this model and this company.
Well, the actual time that I had the penny drop moment, I was riding a bike, to be honest. I'd gone for a 2-hour bike ride and I was thinking to myself that there had to be a better way to, and a more honest way to interact with my clients. So back then I was a sales manager. I was working with a large team of largish 12 salespeople. And I just started to see that, there was sort of change in the air. The way that we had been doing things for a while was certainly was changing. The remuneration on the products that we were selling was dropping. And I felt that there was just a more honest way of working with my clients. So that was the penny dropped moment. And then from there, I took a risk and sort of went both feet first and plunged into starting my own business as a pure cloud telco consultancy company. I guess that was around sort of 3-ish years ago. I guess the market was fairly slim back then, but as far as the offerings, and it's certainly a lot better now. So.
Well, very early on. In fact, that's when we went down and started, having conversations with people and started and found that nobody knew what we were talking about. And that's why I made the comment about, is it legal? Because we literally had those questions. So you're clearly a pioneer. It wasn't because you saw other people doing it and having success. You saw opportunity here. I'm curious, how long between that moment on your bike and when you actually started the company?
I would say, it was probably a good 3 months of working on starting the business. I'd done it before, like this wasn't my first business I began, but I was always doing it previously for somebody or with other business partners as well. So it was my first solo business. Even though it was only 3 months until we started, it was certainly quite a long time until, we got to a point where we were, getting regular visits with clients. It was a bit of a, we were working uphill, I guess, to try to convince people that what we were talking about was relevant to them at that time.
Well, and tell me a little bit about, you talked about a more honest way. So you've been running this sales team and you felt like this model would be a more honest way to help your clients. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I feel that in any sort of sales role, you're either, you have a product that you're trying to sell to a customer, and you're either naive and you believe that your product is infallible, or you realize that there is issues with your product, and I guess in the trying to sell the product, you're trying to minimize those issues in the customer's mind rather than being completely honest with the way it would work and educate them on the fact that there is going to be problems in any sort of big change project like this. So I feel that coming at it from a consultative angle, where we're looking at what the customer is trying to achieve. We're looking at the environment they've got and the workflows that they've got at the moment, and then trying to go to vendors rather than trying to push a product specifically in there because it's what our business gets paid on. That's why I believe it feels a bit more honest.
Got it. So when you did start, so the 3 months go by, you start the company. What were those first few months like?
Really hard, actually. First few months, it was just me to start with, because I was trying to prove out the model. I had some existing clients who trusted me and wanted to speak to me about whatever, my next venture was. But, it was hard. There was a lot of inertia, I guess, even in those clients, trying to push them to a point where, they were interested to take on a project like this, a business transformational project. It wasn't doable. So I had to then sort of go a little bit wider in the field, and it certainly took some time until people understood what I was talking about. I mean, the elevator pitch to begin with was horrible, and I can reflect on that now. But it's certainly has got a lot better over time of practicing it.
All right, so you started 3 years ago. You stumble out of the gates. I mean, just tough conversation. I think like any partner starting, and now you've built this business where you've got a team and have an approach to the market that I think is rather unique. Can you tell us a little bit about your approach today?
Yeah, so we I guess I mentioned back before about the consultative approach that we do. So we talk to many IT managers nationally about upcoming projects in kind of a niche field. So we work with data networks, so MPLS and to SD-WAN conversions. But most, the most often conversation that we're having with people is about UCaaS. So Unified Communication as a Service is I guess our niche product that we know a lot about. Our model is to, like I said previously, to meet with a customer's team and then discuss what upcoming projects that they've got, and then try to provide relevant information right up front. Like it can take a lot of time for an IT manager to research these fields. There's so many different players out there. So we minimize the amount of time that they spend on the projects, particularly in the first start, to see which vendors they should invite in. And we certainly provide them with a lot of resources around, that go to market for them to make it more simple, and for them to get the right people so they don't waste their time, and then for them to negotiate the right price with the vendor as well, because we certainly know how far they can be pushed.
Yep. So you're having great consultative, conversation with your customers, leading them, walking them through their digital transformation. What was interesting to me in our conversation about your business is this really wasn't about just creating a lifestyle. You have actively invested just in the first 3 years, whereas most people are just trying to replace their income during that time. But you have actively invested and have multiple people on your team right now. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess in a way I got lucky because the guy that was running my service team in my previous role, so he had there's around 6 technicians underneath him, primarily doing NEC installations. He came on the market, and I kind of went to him and I said, you have to have a little bit of faith here, but what I'm doing, is going to work out and it's going to be great. I can't really pay you anything, but come work with me and we'll make something that's going to be great. And he trusted me because we'd been working together on and off for around 15 years, and certainly getting him on the team was a big boon for us. I guess when we look at it, we are really phone nerds, so to speak. So we research the independent business reports. We look at the updates. We keep across all of this stuff. And if it wasn't for him to have somebody else to bounce information off, then we wouldn't be where we are today. Adding to that, we obviously need to be in touch with IT managers. So we started to build out the marketing side of the business to provide inbound and outbound lead generation, and that's also been a cornerstone of what we've been doing here as well. We've just recently brought on an operations manager because the business has been growing. So we're there's a lot of working on the business rather than in the business that needs to be done, and I do like working in the business as well. So yeah, that's we're still a small team. So I think we're around five people at the moment. Certainly growing, looking at taking on an international market currently as well, which is something new and exciting for us.
Well, it's incredible. It sounds like your best sales so far was convincing someone to work for free, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
But in building your team, hats off to you. Most partners don't think about building out their team until their own needs are taken care of and addressed, and they've grown the company sufficiently to where they kind of hit a plateau, and then start to invest. And right out of the gate, it looks like you were focused on scaling this company and investing. And I mean, you've already got a demand gen team in place to generate leads.
Absolutely. I guess, further to that, when Julian first came on, I was getting to a stage where the business was working okay for me. And then all of a sudden, the hunger wasn't about, paying my own bills. It was making sure that he had money to pay his bills and support his 2 kids as well. So, yeah, it certainly did put a rocket up me as well to keep on pushing.
So you've come a long way in 3 years. What do you see in the future? What do you see in the next year or 2 for you?
Look, I guess when I first took this business on, it was somewhat of a lifestyle business. Like I thought that I'd work within the business and I could sort of set my own hours and choose my own clients and so forth. But now it has become a serious business which is growing, and I need to put a lot more time into it. And a lot more investment of my own money back into the business as well to grow it to where we need to be. I guess at the moment we've been kicking some goals. We've been had some rewards. I think we're a Ring Central Premier partner, which is globally. I think there's only 20 or 30 people that fall in that category. So I'd like to see that we continue to push the solutions that we can offer to customers into a broader range of customers, into larger and larger customers as well.
Fantastic.
So I think the old adage of it's just as hard to sell to somebody with 50 staff as it is to 500 staff is certainly true when you're talking about UCaaS.
Right. And so why not take the 500 seat deal every time? So it sounds like your product portfolio is expanding, also geographically expanding, going into some new international markets. I really look forward to looking back on this conversation a year or 2 with the aggressive way in which you have invested and you will invest, and seeing what you've built. So thank you so much for being my guest, Asa, and for being a partner of Telarus.
Excellent. Thanks for having me on the show as well. It's been great.
Thank you so much for joining me on Business Transformations. We'll talk to you soon.